Hello everyone, I'm CJ Werleman, and this is Sami al-Aktash, a Palestinian hero who flew to Turkey to help victims of the catastrophic earthquake. But sadly, this story does not have a happy ending, because last Sunday, he was murdered by Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank, who with the help of Israeli soldiers are preparing the next Palestinian Nakba or genocide. Now let's get into it. What we are witnessing in the occupied Palestinian West Bank today constitutes more than a periodic killing spree. It's the start of the next Palestinian Nakba, the Arabic name given to the massacres and forced expulsion Palestinians endured at the hands of Jewish militias in 1948, as the new Israeli state came into existence. You see, just a few weeks after an Israeli minister used Nazi rhetoric in calling for a final solution against the Palestinians, hundreds of Israeli settlers attacked the occupied West Bank town of Hawara, setting fire to the entire village while burning homes, shops, farms and cars. The devastation to Palestinian life and property is indescribable. But these photos tell only a small part of the story, because this Zionist orchestrated bloodshed has the full backing of the Israeli government, with the man in charge of running the military administration in the occupied West Bank saying the Palestinian village of Hawara should be wiped from the earth, which means this new wave of settler violence has only just begun, leaving another generation of besieged Palestinians with more trauma stacked atop of previous traumas.
إنه آخر يوم في حياتي هذا، لأنه أول مرة هيك بصير بحوارة. أول الدار بلش يكسروا وحركوا السيارة هناك لعند دار جارنا وولعوا دارهم. بعدين إجوا المستوطنين لهون وكان جيش الاحتلال بحمايتهم.
You heard what the young boy said, that the Jewish terrorists were allowed to get away with their crimes with total impunity, even carrying out their violence in the presence of Israeli soldiers and then gathering together afterwards to celebrate their bloody mayhem in the presence of Israeli soldiers. It begs the question, should the media stop referring to them as illegal Israeli settlers and instead start calling them out for what they really are? That being radicalized Israeli Jewish terrorists. But before I answer the question, we kindly ask you please support our effort to counter injustices in the Muslim world by supporting my journalism at patreon.com/CJ You'll be helping me bring these kind of stories to a broader audience. Thank you. Now back to our show. You see, the word settler doesn't go far enough. Sure, it implies criminality as in settling on unlawfully obtained land, but it also conveys civilian status, which conceals the true nature of their presence. Because Israeli settlers are anything but ordinary civilians, given every one of them is heavily armed and all have undergone at least 2 to 3 years of compulsory military service. I mean, do these guys look like ordinary civilians to you? Of course not. But let me put it another way. Were a foreign army to illegally occupy your country, would you happily identify heavily armed colonial settlers of military age who have stolen your property to be innocent civilians? I'm pretty sure you'd refer to them as non-uniformed enemy combatants. And you'd be right. Now meet your local Israeli settlers. But here's the thing. Under any settler colonial enterprise, soldiers and settlers always work in partnership. Put another way, there's no soldier without the settler, and there's no settler without the soldier. The settler is there to steal and occupy stolen land, and the soldier is there to give the settler protection from the indigenous population, who have a legally protected right to resist the occupation using whatever means necessary. Now, what happened in Hawara last week is no different to what's been happening in the occupied Palestinian territories since 1967. You can call it ethnic cleansing, call it genocide, call it what it is. Watch this Palestinian man explain how soldiers worked together to attack his village last week.
حرق المحل في الكامل والمنزل بقى فيه أطفال وكسر كل البيت ما خلوا على أي شيء والغاز بيصير الدموع ضربوا برضه في البيت برضه كان الجيش مساندهم يعني الجيش بقى درع لهم واقي طبعا شيء مش طبيعي منطيهم حماية مش طبيعية.
And as this Israeli government-backed terrorist attack was taking place in real time, Israeli settlers took to Twitter calling for the village's destruction, saying, "Let it burn and deport every Palestinian to Syria." As you can imagine, Palestinians are absolutely terrified, because they know these settlers can murder them and their children with total impunity. They know there's no justice for them or accountability for their attackers. But what makes these Israeli terrorists extra frightening is that unlike any other terrorist organization in the world, Israeli terrorists enjoy the full backing of one of the world's most powerful militaries, which is why no Israeli soldier or settler has been held to account for the 61 Palestinians already killed in the occupied West Bank since January 1st, or the 231 who were murdered last year. In fact, only 3% of investigations open into cases involving Israeli crimes against Palestinians have resulted in convictions since 2005, according to a prominent Israeli rights group. But with a new far-right government in power, the settlers believe that the moment to push for total annexation of Palestinian land they unlawfully perceive to be their biblical birthright has finally arrived, which means the next Palestinian Nakba has already begun. The question is, what will the international community do to stop it and prevent mass murder? It can start by telling the truth and portraying the contours of the conflict accurately and honestly, which means identifying Israeli settlers as radicalized Israeli terrorists. Even concerned and conscientious Jewish Israelis are warning the next Palestinian genocide is here. We must echo and amplify those voices because silence is complicity. Anyway, that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we kindly ask you please support this endeavor by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWellerman. We can't produce, sustain and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.